This podcast is brought to you by Living Swell Studios. When you want to record your next hit, broadcast your next live stream, or just need a quiet space to edit your videos, Living Swell Studios can accommodate all your needs. Located in New Orleans, they're equipped with a rehearsal hall, print shop, photography space, and more. Living Swell is your one-stop shop to facilitating your vision. Let them fulfill your music and video dreams. What's happening, y'all? This is Professor Drew Bayham coming at you with episode 3 of Drew's Putting It Out There. To my right, my special guest today is none other than a cat that we have gone back and forth. You know, our history kind of goes a little further, you know, than what we're going to talk about today. But I always have to put that out there because, you know, New Orleans is small, so like everybody's connected. Yeah. So. My special guest is none other than Louis Coolie, moderately long, and I'm gonna give him this moniker because, like, you know, he's gonna be, you know, he's gonna be the sports guru Akbar Honeycutt. That's how we gonna do this, yeah. So give it up, you know, all that good stuff, and on the boards, who's gonna be working the angles today? Hit it with the angles.
Yo,
yeah,
how y'all doing?
the Al Heyman of the podcast himself, Mr. Roast Beef Jenkins.
Yo,
yes, indeed. Get up for Irv Darby.
How y'all doing? You know, if you don't know who Al Heyman is, Google Al Heyman.
Yeah, let's get it popping. All right, so you know, me and brother Akbar, me and brother Louis. We always engage in, you know, sports of our beloved team, New Orleans Saints, and you know, we kind of go back and forth, and I always you know, kind of respected his perspective because it's you know, it's embedded in, you know, your knowledge of just like, you know, stats and like that, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's an objective, you know, and there's always an objective point of view. And so it's like, man, I need to have people like you on this show because I'm a real big, you know, person on objective thinking. That was the reason why I put this show together. So without further ado, we're gonna just start on this, okay. And let's get on that old good old Super Bowl. I have a take, and so I you know. I know it's kind of out there and it's just kind of bold, but you know, that's just the way I am. I put it out there and let's just see, you know, what happens. You know, personally, you know, I'm starting to believe, you know, the conspiracy theorists when they talk about, you know, this season was rigged, you know, or of something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, what are the odds of, you know, Tom Brady leaving the team that he had been with 19 years to get with a team? I mean, we already knew they had Cop. They just we knew this already. Yeah. You know, they just had needed the last piece of the puzzle, and I believe if who's the quarterback now? I'll back up. James Winston. Yeah. I believe if James Winston would have been there one more year, I think he would have been able to do that. I mean, he may not have gotten the weapons that he, you know, that Tom Brady would have gotten, but I still think they were. For the last 3 years, they've just been one interception away, one play away from, you know, like, just having winning records and that type of thing. You know, and I'm like, okay, this is the season of COVID, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't have anybody there. No. You know, nobody at the stadiums. Well, most of the stadiums, you know, couldn't have anybody in there. On top of that, the Super Bowl's in Tampa. Yeah. What better way for, you know, for the NFL to make money than to have the home game, than to have the Super Bowl home game? I used to try to just posh it off. It's like, man, I don't want to think that. But like looking at the way he put the team together, you know, when Tom Brady put the team together, looking at the way he won the 2 games prior to it versus the Saints and the Packers, you know, I'm like, is this, you know, I'm like I'm really thinking that, there is some merit to the conspiracy theorists, you know.
Well, You went there already.
Yeah, bro. You know, I got to start over, man.
I agree to a certain extent about the NFL and its conspiracies. Right now, they do look very WWE-ish.
Right.
Right.
With the way that they have put things together, because not in my lifetime or anybody else's lifetime, for 55 years or so, no team has ever represented itself in its home stadium.
Right.
Until the 1 year we have a pandemic where there's no one that can travel.
Right.
So it comes off and it looks a little fishy.
Yeah, it does look a little fishy.
Just so happens that Tom Brady is I don't know if he's just lucky.
Well, here's the thing. I give him enough credit and to say that he is going to go down in history as one of the greatest quarterbacks. You know, arguably the greatest quarterback in NFL history. I give him that all day. Even though, you know, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that subject.
Yeah.
You know, but I at the same time I'm like, who has ever in the history of the NFL had that type of luck?
Nobody.
You know what I mean?
Not nobody.
Right.
And then they have been quarterbacks that come along that is more talented than Tom Brady. That has played on better teams than Tom Brady. And they can't get to 10 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And win 7.
Some of them can't even get to 1.
Can't get to 1.
Right.
So, man, there has to be somebody pulling the puppet strings.
Right.
You think it's Vince McMahon?
It gotta be, man. Hey,
Ain't his daughter running that? Isn't the daughter running WWE now?
Yeah, she does. She does.
With Stephanie
McMahon.
Oh, yeah. I thought so.
Yeah. But man, Tom has been the beneficiary of some great refereeing. Depends on your geological
right.
wherever you stay in America. If you are from Boston or Massachusetts area, New York up that way, then you probably are happy that he benefited from those.
Of course.
Officials. If you stay anywhere from Philadelphia to maybe
Indianapolis,
then you're not too happy. Or Oakland Raiders,
right?
You're definitely not happy with the Tuck rule.
Oh, of course,
right? And man, but I would say that Tom is a good quarterback, great quarterback. He's one of the top 3, if not the GOAT. But I don't. In my opinion, we get too caught up in the culture right now where rings define if you're the GOAT.
Right.
If we want to go there, then we can use Robert Horry, who has more championships than Michael Jordan.
Right.
But he's nowhere near considered the GOAT.
Right. Or Bill Russell.
Who has 11.
Right.
Right? So, in my opinion, Tom being the winner of 7 Super Bowls, I don't necessarily think he's the greatest quarterback. He's probably the most decorated.
Right.
That's by far. But greatest, no.
But that which is bringing me to the next, our next subject. I have another take. I have a thing, so to speak, with Tom Brady being the GOAT.
Yeah.
Because I looked at, I just looked at just some of the Super Bowls that he's played. I looked over all the Super Bowls that he played, even including this one.
Yeah.
One thing that I realized is that, not only does he get calls, I think he gets the Michael Jordan rules. Like,
does he get calls?
Right. And that's why I said I realized that's what happened all 3 games.
Yes.
Super Bowl, like they jumped up on the Packers, and they were up 20. They were like 21-3 or something wild like that. And the Saints kept it tight until 5 minutes into the first half.
Going to Green Bay, the Packers defensive coordinator did something that I think my child would do on Madden, right?
Yeah.
That has no football acumen, no football IQ, has no idea what she's doing. She's just playing the game.
Right.
I don't know how with 3, I believe it was maybe, I'm gonna give it 5 seconds.
Yeah.
No more than that. With 5 seconds left in the half, you call single high safety. When you know there's only a shot to the end zone. Right? And
you got flyers on you got flyers on both ends.
Man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just 4 deep.
Right.
Or just protect the end zone.
Front you. I think, to be honest with you, I think the too high safety that Tampa has been playing through that whole time, throughout the playoffs, I think it was ingenious because they kept everything in front of them.
They kept, especially with the Saints, because Drew can't beat you over the top.
Exactly.
Drew can only beat you within 0 to 15 yards.
Right.
And after he came back from ribs, to me, he had, if he threw the ball over 8 yards, it was to me it was considered a long minus the throw that he threw Kansas City. That surprised everybody.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And that ball was in there for at least 40 yards.
Right. I was.
When he completed the pass to Emmanuel Sanders, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why don't they do that more often? Because it caught everybody off guard. No one seen that coming. So I'm like, why don't you do that more often? Like,
we all just kind of knew the writing was on the wall. It's just that he just didn't have it anymore.
No,
he couldn't throw the ball. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, like up until maybe 2013, 2014, he didn't have it.
Man, Drew, this is what started my Saints. My takes on the Saints, right? Going all the way back to 2015, and I was basically. I came out saying that Drew couldn't throw the ball long anymore. I started calling him Noodle Arm Drew on Facebook. And all of the flack that I got, because New Orleans, I understand it. Drew.
I still believe, so I was still believing until maybe, 2 years ago.
And, like Drew Brees, he's loved. He brought the Saints its one and only Super Bowl. So I get it. I may have been early, but I was just basically saying what I saw on my television, and I don't know how anybody else could see it. And it was, it's one of the reasons they got rid of Brandon Cooks, because they couldn't they couldn't throw it to him. They couldn't throw it to him, and
he's a flyer.
And him being he wasn't the quiet type anymore. He was coming out and basically saying that he wanted the ball. Which I remember it was the Rams game that they played that particular year. Michael Thomas's rookie year. Michael Thomas had maybe 12 or 15 catches, something crazy. And Brandon Cooks had none. 0.
I remember that.
And they interviewed him after the game, and he, the sentiment was, I'm happy we won, but I want to be a part of why we're winning. Like to run, you gotta give, you gotta feel for the guy. The dude's out there running routes and he's running.
He's go routing.
He's go routing because he's the deep threat. And the ball ain't coming. Because Drew can't throw it that far accurately anymore. He can probably get it that far, but it's going to be a duck. It's going to wobble. It's going to be picked off, which happened more times than not in these later years when he's tried to, tell Father Time, F you, I'm going to throw this ball down here. And it happened in the playoff game against the Vikings.
Yeah, it is.
Taysom Hill throws the deep bomb to Deontay Harris. It's completed. The next series, Drew says, you threw one, I can throw one too, right? And it's intercepted.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I was early on it, and man, you wouldn't believe how many people have come back to me now, and it's like, man, you were right.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, there's a misconception out there that I don't like the Saints.
Right.
I'm a hater of the Saints, and I'm like, no, that's not true. It's just that I'm not emotionally tied to them anymore like I used to be. I used to
You're
think
objective.
I'm objective, and I think in logic now. I used to be talking about the Saints with my heart.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
I'd get upset. My week wouldn't go right if they lost.
Right.
The food didn't taste good. I didn't want to drink no water. I
Right.
couldn't even play Madden.
Right.
You know, because the Saints
I don't
lost.
play with the Saints, yeah.
I don't want to do
play with
nothing
nobody
about
else.
football.
Right.
But I'm not like that anymore. And I'm here to tell people, once you relieve yourself of that, man, life is much greater.
Right.
It's much greater.
I dig that. I dig
right.
that.
You know,
Yeah.
it hurts when they lose,
Right.
you know, but I'm able to move on. I'm able to watch the Super Bowl.
Which is interesting because
Right.
this loss, it didn't affect me the way that the other losses happened. You know, especially like with the Rams game.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, you know, on 20. You know,
Rams
you know,
game, I was upset because not because of what the Saints didn't do, but because it was stolen from them.
Right, exactly.
Right, and you play, which led me to this NFL being rigged stuff. Because who benefited more from the Rams being in the Super Bowl with
The
a
NFL.
brand new
Stadium.
$1 billion stadium?
Right.
You know, which the Super Bowl is
$2
going to be
billion
at.
stadium.
The Super Bowl is going to be there next year,
Right.
in SoFi Stadium. But it benefited them more than it
Benefited.
Right. So, man, the NFL has been showing you who they are for years,
Right.
you know, but we just don't believe them. We still think it's.
Well, you know, I think,
Yeah.
I think, you know, and I kind of agree with you on that level because as Saints fans, I think the Saints fan in particular, we have this, you know, not necessarily a love-hate relationship, but we do have this, we gonna be with you thick and thin.
Yeah.
You know, that type, you know, you only find that in the rare, like town cities, like
Yeah.
Green Bay, like, you know.
Small market
Yeah,
cities.
like the small market cities, you know.
Yeah.
You're only gonna really find that, you know. You're not gonna find that in Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't rock like that, you know, or
Atlanta has more to offer
Right.
than just the Falcons. Plus, they're not winning.
right.
Right. So it makes
Right.
it easier, you know.
Yeah, you know, and so yeah, you can be bandwagon, you know.
Right.
But for us, it's like it's ride or die, you know, in that sense. And it kind of just for 4 years straight, you know, we have been in, you know, so brokenhearted, you know, for 4 years straight, and it's just kind of like it's literally right here.
It's man.
It's one play away.
Not just brokenhearted, but the Saints aren't just getting beaten.
Right.
In these 4 years, right? They're getting like last minute,
Hoodwinked.
they're snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Right.
Right? Minnesota Miracle.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I still see the play like right now happening.
Right.
And when it happened in live action,
Yeah.
I actually laughed.
Right.
Because I was delirious.
Right.
Because my eyes and my mind could not process what I just saw.
Right.
Like the way that the Vikings won that game.
the rookiest of rookie mistakes, you know.
Man,
you know.
On ESPN's index, you know, they do that percentage probability
Right, yeah,
win.
yeah.
The Vikings had a 0.1% probability of winning. And Marcus Williams just
Let it go.
misses the
Right.
He didn't. Oh my God!
You know?
Man, I'm just still thinking about it, man.
See,
like,
you know,
oh
Brad,
my
but
God.
that's the thing, bro. You still have that in you. You still have that, you know, that in you.
Right. So you go Minnesota Miracle. Then you have the referees with the
Yeah.
Rams. Then you have the Vikings again with
Yeah.
Kyle Rudolph with the push off. That's not
Yeah,
called.
exactly. Oh man. you
And
know.
then this year,
yeah.
you're
You know.
winning 20-13.
And you fumble
Third
the ball.
quarter, and Jared Cook fumbles the ball, and the wheels fall off.
Yeah. Like it's kind of like you know, it's Othello, man. You know? It's Othello, man. You know, it's just like that's,
man.
you know. But you know, now you know we can kind of make a kind of turn into it because I want to get into Drew Brees,
Okay, yeah.
and I have just another take, and I'm putting it out there. I believe that Drew Brees stayed on these 2 years, these last 2 years, when that was a new contract. Yeah, 2 years.
The last 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, the last 2 years. I believe that he stayed on Not because, and of course he wants a ring just like everybody else. We won a championship. But I think most importantly, I don't think that he felt good about leaving at that point because there was nobody to really take the reins.
I would say probably, but I don't know if Drew's that noble. Right? I don't.
Yes, elaborate, brother.
I would say it was more so that he probably wanted the records.
Okay.
That there was the record for touchdowns that was still out there, that him and Tom Brady were 1 and 2 in, going backwards and forward.
Yeah.
He wanted the yardage record, which he has.
Right.
So he's pretty much accomplished his goals. Plus, the money ain't bad.
Right.
You can't turn that down.
Right. You can't turn that down.
And once he got there to that point, then there was nobody coming behind him that could keep it sustainable.
Right.
Right. Because the program must always sustain itself.
Right.
Right. So the Saints seen it coming. They tried.
Right.
It's not a rumor anymore, but it's fact that Sean Payton wanted Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Yeah.
But Andy Reid somehow he found out and he traded up above the Saints and
one slot
and took Patrick.
Yeah.
Which the Saints ended up with Marshawn Lattimore. There's nothing to hang your head about that.
Exactly.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Kept Mike and Evans on the swivel.
Yeah. Mike Evans still can't get a kill. Well, he got his little touchdown. One touchdown catch. One touchdown catch. And he's still on the milk carton when it comes to Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah.
There's still an Amber Alert out for him.
Right.
But, so Sean seen it coming. He wanted Patrick. I think if Patrick is here, then more than likely Drew Brees has retired in the last year or two. Because there's no way you can keep someone that talented on the bench and you seeing them every day in practice, which is why they made, when he went to Kansas City, they got rid of Alex Smith immediately.
Right.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Because there's no Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes is not even comparable.
Right. And I was looking at I was reading some article. There was an article that Taysom Hill, in that new contract that he had, the new contract was he was going to be the backup.
Yeah, I could see when Peyton made the move to Taysom, I totally understood it.
Yeah.
Right? You have Taysom that's been in the system for years now. Right? You have Jameis that has no training camp, no mini camp, no OTAs, that's learning the playbook on the fly. He's not ready yet. Right. So you got Taysom, and plus you paid Taysom $16 million.
Right. So you got to get your money's worth.
You got to get your money's worth. And you have to find out if he's the guy.
Right.
You just have to.
Right.
Which you see that the jury is still out on him.
Right.
Right.
Well, I don't even think the jury is out. I think it's already, we've already deliberated, and
I would say that Taysom played like he was supposed to play. Which is no more than when it comes to being a quarterback, a rookie.
Right.
He hasn't really played quarterback as much as he played this year since college.
Right.
So, you knew there was going to be some growing pains. Right. So I think he performed well enough. We've been spoiled the last 15 years when it comes to quarterback play. Right. When you're looking at Drew Brees and at one, for 12 of these, I would say, for at least 13 to 14 years of him playing quarterback, the ball's coming out on time.
Right.
He's not missing
Accuracy,
plenty reads. The ball is deadly accurate.
Right.
So
he's going to go down he probably is going to go down as one of the most accurate quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's over 60%.
Right.
Easy.
Right.
we've gotten accustomed to seeing a quarterback perform a certain way. So when Taysom gets in there for 3 weeks, we're not as patient anymore.
We know he can throw the ball 60 yards.
But man, you're looking at it and you're saying, man, he's holding the ball too long.
Right.
He's not making the right reads. He gotta, you should go here and not go there. Like we're calling it from the house, but it's kind of tricky, when you haven't necessarily played quarterback as long as Drew Brees, or you haven't played that much quarterback since BYU, since college. Hey man, I'm not Drew Brees, man.
Right.
Give me some patience. Like, be patient, right?
Right, yeah.
But I think going forward, I do believe that Jameis is probably the future quarterback of the Saints, especially with coming right now. There's no trades to necessarily be made. Right. The one trade that I thought that Saints might have a shot at with Matthew Stafford, that's gone. He's in LA now.
What's interesting that I just heard about was, Russell Wilson wants out. Well, he alluded to that he wanted out. Now I don't know what type of I don't know what his money look. Yeah,
I think it's fixable. Like his situation. Yeah, he's just basically like he's tired of running for his life. Right. Which Russell Westbrook, I would say, he sometimes he creates his own pressure. Right. Because he does hold on to the ball.
And he jumps out the pocket.
He jumps out of the pocket. He's just running around. He's just trying to make a play. Right. So, but with that being said, the Seattle Seahawks have had offensive line problems for years, which led them trading for Dwayne Brown from Houston a couple years ago. But the interior lineman has not been fixed.
Yeah, but they believe that started with Max Unger coming to the Saints.
And they have not really drafted well. I don't even know if they drafted an offensive lineman. Right. So I feel Russell. You got weapons on the outside. You got that boy from Ole Miss, DK Metcalf. You got the other was it Tyler Lockett. You got weapons on the outside, but the offensive line doesn't hold up. Right. So.
Well, but my thing is that, it still, in essence, would be a attractive place. New Orleans will still be an attractive place for Russell Wilson because he still has the wide receiving core. He has a line that will actually block.
That will block.
And so I still don't know what we could, trade off. We can, what we can give away, because if we were to get one of them, I know we would have to bet the farm.
I don't know what Russell's contract is like. I know he just signed a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's year 2, year 3.
Yeah, so he might be up there right now with about 30, low 30s a year. Yeah, which is there's nothing to shake a stick at. Especially with our cap situation, which still has not been defined yet. All the projections are that they're going to be $99 million over the cap. Drew Brees is giving 24 of it back. Yeah, so that puts about 75. Yeah, we still got to take care of our own players.
I think what's happening is that I think they're giving. I think that contract has been restructured to whereas he has the I forgot the baseball player. Who he was like, all right, well, I'm retiring, so y'all owe me $25 million. This was in the 90s.
You talking about Bobby Bonilla?
Yeah, and they give him $1 million a year.
Yeah, he get paid $1 million a year.
I wouldn't be surprised if they try to work out some deal in that nature where it's just kind of like, because even with him retiring, I still don't see you giving $24 million back.
Well, it's been spread over the next 2 years. Okay. So by 2024, then his contract will be officially off the books. Okay. But so right now his salary, according to the news outlets or whatever, is about $1 million or I think somewhere over $1.2 million for this upcoming season. Right. And they accelerated the money to basically $15 million. They spread out the rest of the money over the next 2 years. Right. So it helps the massage the cap. Basically, they kick the can down the road.
Kind of, yeah.
The next 2 years, which Mickey has been doing since 2010 or so. But sooner or later, you're going to have to pay the piper.
Right.
You know, but it was looking like it was going to be this year, which is going to be a major rebuilding year.
Right.
And they still have some contracts that I think that they could restructure to help them get more room. But there's some people out there that's going to demand big money. Marcus Williams is one of them.
Right.
Which I can see.
I get it. You know, he's just in the right place at the right time where it's just he can demand what he can, what he can demand what he wants.
According to Pro Football Focus, you know, all the pundits have been using that as for to grade players.
Yeah, last couple of years.
Yeah, he's been top 5 as far as safety played the last since he's been in the league, which has been 3 years now.
Right.
So I could see the Saints offering him another contract. It just depends on if they're going to offer him the most money, and is he going to be loyal and take the Saints' money, or is he just going to say,
test the market?
I'm going to test the market and I'm going to go get paid, you know? Yeah. Von Bell went and got paid last year. That's why we ended up back up with Malcolm Jenkins,
Which wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, Malcolm has not missed a game in his career.
Right.
So he's Mr. Iron Man. Malcolm, coming out of Ohio State, was thought to be the best. He was playing cornerback at the time. So he was the best cornerback in the draft.
Right.
And everyone knew that he was going to switch to safety one day.
Right.
He switched to safety with the Saints, and then he went to the Eagles, got a Super Bowl ring, beat Tom Brady.
Right.
Right. So and then comes back to the Saints, and I mean, I think he had a great year. I think he performed better than Von Bell did.
Yeah.
There was a couple of times, man, when Von, Von was supposed to be the quarterback of the backfield, right? Man,
I think Von
is
Bell
out of position. He's missing tackles.
Von Bell reminded me of when I was a young boy, and we had the Dome Patrol and we had the Sky Patrol, and no matter like the year, whenever the Saints played the 49ers, Jerry Rice would always put Toy Cook on Jerry Rice.
Toast.
Yeah, Toast. Toast Cook. Toy Cook. And for the life of me, I did not understand why they would do that, because it's like he's going to have an extraordinary game. Him, whether it's Jerry Rice or Flipper Anderson or whomever, it's just like that's what Von Bell kind of reminded me of, because he's like, bruh, you have problems guarding tight ends.
You can't do it.
You have problems checking tight ends. I don't. Yeah, I can go on all day about
not just the best tight ends.
Right.
Any
tight end.
Any tight end.
Right.
Von Bell reminds me of Roy Williams. They used to play with the Dallas Cowboys. Great in run support.
Right.
A liability in pass coverage.
Right.
And I remember when Sean Payton first came to Saints, his very first year, Saints put 42 points on Dallas. Basically with Roy Williams in coverage. And it only made sense because that was his first year coming over from Dallas, so he knew all their weaknesses.
Right,
and it was a national television game, and he's going against his mentor Bill Parcells, and he put 42 on him.
Right. That's and there's nothing you can really I could write a book just about just the Saints secondary and the disappointment that I've had.
Going throughout the years, we have never had a great cornerback.
Yeah.
Except I would say Dave Weinler.
Maybe.
That's it. Yeah. But Vince Buck, terrible.
Right.
Toy Cook, horrible. Alex Molden, bad.
Right.
Mark McMillan,
right.
Super terrible.
Right. Brandon Browner.
Brandon Browner.
Mr. Hold'em.
Brandon Browner.
Mr. Hold'em, bro.
I think I could have probably got past Brandon Brown. I could have ran a 7 route and got Brandon Brown to the whole meet.
Right. Exactly.
I think that might be one of the cases for that CTE stuff. You know, he's in jail now.
Yeah.
For something crazy.
Yeah.
You know, but man, it like the Saints have in the history great linebackers.
Right.
You know, good defensive linemen. Terrible secondary.
Right. Actually, which I think we really missed this season when Quan Alexander got hurt.
Yeah.
You know.
I think if Quan plays, the linebacker play does not dip. Alex.
And they can get more pressure on on Tampa.
Fabio contract is up.
Right.
I don't think he's coming back.
Nah, he's not.
But it was a reason why the Saints kept trading for linebackers.
Right.
To replace him. No less. You know, Kiko Alonso.
And the Robinson. I believe, because he just, Robinson, was it Craig Robinson?
Craig Robinson. Yeah, he became a special teams player.
Yeah, he became a special teams player, but I think that he had great tackling skills and he was able to stop the run. He was a great run stopper, but, he couldn't guard he couldn't guard a great. So I just
can't go to stop sign.
Right.
Stephon Anthony.
Yeah.
Who found his way back to the Saints after he was traded.
Right.
No, his rookie year, he had a decent rookie season.
Yeah.
With I think it was Spagnuolo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Spagnuolo.
He had over 100 tackles.
Right.
But he fell off a cliff.
Right.
Demario Davis has been probably the best linebacker the Saints has had in a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah, since Sam Mills.
Since Sam, yeah, and he brings it every game.
Right.
And he just flashes off the television screen. And Quan Alexander, no doubt, who's very instinctive, he flashed on the television screen, for mostly the right reasons. He had one bad play against Philadelphia that he tried to backdoor Miles Sanders, and Miles hit the hole and was gone for 90 some yards, which the Saints ended up giving up a 100-yard rusher for like the first time in like 4 years.
Right.
Like it was something crazy like that. But that was probably the only mistake that I seen Quan make.
Yeah.
But I think now Quan is still under contract.
Okay.
It's going to it's about $12 million or so. I think the Saints keep him.
Right.
You can't get rid of someone that's torn their Achilles. You know. Now it remains to be seen how he comes back. Achilles is nothing to shake a stick at, but I think the going back to the draft, leading the linebackers, and I had this take about the Saints in their draft from this past season, and I really felt as though it really upset me.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, that the Saints passed on the linebacker.
Yeah.
Patrick Queen.
Yeah.
Is right there for you, and you take Cesar Ruiz.
Yeah, right.
Did need him, right?
Not really, yeah.
You did need him. Larry Warford, I get it. He had a horrible game against Minnesota.
Right.
But he's up against Danielle Hunter.
Right.
It's not a shake.
Danielle Hunter,
he's no slouch.
Right.
He had a bad game, right? You don't get rid of him. He's Mr. Iron Man on the line. He's never missed a game.
Right.
And he's, as far as Pro Football Focus goes, he's the 8th best interior lineman in the league. There's 2 on every team. There's 64 starting guards in the league.
Yeah.
And he's number 8, and you get rid of him, and you keep Andres Pete.
Right. Oh my God.
And pay him $60 million.
$60 million, dude. Oh my God.
Man, hey, Andres Pete, I call him Sherman. Right? He's soft.
Yeah.
Right? Sherman Pete is, I think I'm more durable than Sherman. I felt as though the Saints made a emotional decision with Walford having that bad game.
Right, yeah.
And took Cesar Ruiz, who had a good rookie season, but you need a line. You're back in the same boat right now. Coming this draft, the Saints need a linebacker.
Right.
No, they don't need a wide receiver in the first round.
Actually, that makes me wonder: the question is, will Quan Alexander come back, and will he be at the same at the same as before before the injury.
Before the injury. Man, that's a hard question.
I think that's gonna. To me, I believe that's what's gonna dictate, whether or not they're going to get a linebacker. Because to be honest with you, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised.
I would take one just in case. I'll be honest with you. I take one just in case.
Yeah,
because you can't. You ended up taking a linebacker in round 3, Zach Bond, who I don't think he's seen the field this year, besides probably special teams.
Right.
But you needed Patrick Queen.
Right.
There's a rumor that they wanted Kenneth Murray, but Kenneth Murray went to San Diego before. So it was Kenneth Murray or no linebacker, which
Right.
I don't understand because Patrick Queen is right up the street,
Right.
and you just seen him dominate
Right.
in the national championship game against Clemson.
Clemson, yeah.
And against he's going to be the number 1 pick against Trevor Lawrence.
Right, yeah.
And the running back that they have, Etienne, that's from Jennings, Louisiana. And you see Jeremy Phillips, who went later on in the draft, and Patrick Queen dominate.
Right.
But you don't want them, you want Cesar Ruiz. It upset me, man, and a lot of people, they argued me down on
And
Facebook.
Cesar Ruiz was supposed to be a high 2 pick, right?
He was regarded as a high second round, which the Saints were picking at the end of the draft, so they didn't necessarily mess that evaluation up. But it was said that at the time, because they still had Larry on the roster, they're gonna get rid of. They thought they were gonna replace Pete, right? Oh, they're gonna take Pete out and they're gonna move. What's that center right now that we have?
I forgot his name. I forgot his name already.
But they're gonna take the starting center. They're gonna move him in the guard, his
Right.
real position, and they're gonna put Caesar at center. Who was Caesar played center at Michigan.
Yeah, right.
That didn't work, man.
Right.
They got rid of Larry, put Caesar at guard, who had a couple good games. He had a couple bad ones too, but they're back in the same position.
Yeah.
Realtors, do you need some special aerial photography or video footage? Or maybe you need some stock footage of the city for your presentation? Or maybe a beautiful shot of a landmark just to hang on your wall? Well, time for you to check out DM NOLA Shots. They are a drone photography and videography company established in New Orleans who specialize in capturing aerial 4K video and photo. Check out the website at www.dmnolashotsllc.com or follow us on social media at DM NOLA Shots on Instagram and Facebook. DM NOLA Shots.
All right. Came back. I have some other takes, but this implies, this is in regards to you and I, just like thousands of other, young children from Orleans Parish schools.
Yeah.
Being bandheads. Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Being bandheads and, being a part of just, wanting to always give back to the band programs and that type of thing, the way we learned, because we were under, leadership of what we call the golden era, the greats.
Right.
The Harrises, Mr. Jones, Mr. Bremer, a number of, Terragano brothers.
Yeah.
Teachers, band directors who were actually teachers and who had the means and the resources to be able to teach us music, and it's just a take of mine as I've seen this, this evolution, so to speak, that has happened as a result of, Katrina and, the breaking up of schools and, just the redistricting and all of this, all of the other stuff with the charter school system in general, charter school systems in general. It just seems to me that they don't have, those band directors, those music teachers don't have necessarily the same support,
No.
from the principals, and like just from principals and just parent boosters, and like those things that made our experience fun and great to be a part of. And, we had this feeling that was something greater than ourselves. Like since I was, knee high to a penguin, I knew I was going to Kennedy, but as I got a little older, I was thinking about going to St. O. I was at Gregory and I wanted to go to St. O, and Doc comes in, Walter Doc Harris, walks in the band room and says, "Hey, you, sign this paper. You're coming to Kennedy."
Sounds like him.
Right. And so, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to Kennedy. I mean, if it really was because all my my sibling cousins, they all went to Kennedy. We all went to Gregory and to Kennedy, and they went to Southern. But I had to break that somewhere at some point. I love the U. I had to break that. I had to break that chain. Yeah. But the experience that I had with those guys, it seems like it's kind of far and few between now. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know the inner workings at this point, but I just have a hunch that they just don't have the support that they once had, So I don't know.
I would say first and foremost, probably if you did go to Southern, I'm sure by the time I got there, you would probably more than likely you would have been probably my section leader. Yeah. Because I ended up at Southern fall 2000, which I believe you're class of 98 at Kennedy, right? Mm-hmm. So I was still there. Delvin was still there. Delvin Garrett was still there. And he was pretty much section leader by the time. So I know for a fact. You would have been the HNIC. So but no, the support, I can only give you my experience, right? I was blessed and afforded the opportunity to work with Atlander Walker under Wilbert Rawlins. Mm-hmm. And the support that we had at Atlander Walker was bar none. Yeah. We had everything and anything that we needed. We got. Right? Didn't matter when we asked for it. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter the amount of money that we asked for. It was never no.
And y'all was still under Only's Parish?
We were under LGS Charter. Okay. All right. But we, I started with Miss Laurie, as the principal, and Terrence Davis, who's the school operations manager. Okay. But they seemed fit to whatever the band needed, the band got, because Miss Laurie looked at it as a way to save the generation. To save the children. And when it came to saving children, there's nothing.
Right. Everything that she would help them.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nothing she would not do. Right. So, but there are some horror stories out there where these band directors get these jobs, these music educators that went to school for 4 years and toiled through college to get an opportunity to teach and save kids, and they have they are doing it on their own. They're shaking cans on the streets to raise money. They're paying for it out of their own paychecks. Right. It's crazy.
I had a discussion with a band director that I was arranging some music for, and I was like, okay, well, look, I know that your children are on different levels. You didn't necessarily have a feeder. A feeder school. I think that's probably part of the dilemma that's with the schools and just the support of the band program, because they don't have a feeder.
Right.
And so a lot of times you don't have the numbers, and it discourages administration from investing in extracurricular activity. But I was just talking to him, and he was just like, well, look, bro, if you're gonna write, make sure you write it as plain as you possibly can, because I have beginners, I have just picked up the horn beginners, and he said, like, that's more than half of my band.
Yeah, the kids, you say this is a trumpet.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Right. Man, Drew, I would say it's like that. Even at Landry Walker, we had kids that they look at the instrument and say, I want to play that. They don't even know the name of it.
Right.
Right. I want to play, and they're in 11th grade.
Right.
Right. You know, when we were coming up, by the time you got to junior high, you come to high school level, you trained, you ready.
Yeah,
right?
by the time you got the junior high, middle school, you know how to cross buns and
you can play. You can put air in the horn and produce a sound, right? Man, we're getting them at 10th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, and we have to train them.
Right.
They need method.
And they don't come at summer band. They come
the first day of school.
Right.
Some of them come in the middle of football season. Yeah. You know, they're coming off the football team because, and especially at Landry Walker, they know how to play.
Right.
So if you didn't come in summer when they was out there in the sun sweating and learning the playbook, you are really acquainted with the bench.
Right.
Because you ain't getting into the game. Right. They state 5A champions.
Yeah. Well, which brought me back to when we were, you know what I'm saying, like when we were coming up. And I think it's just kind of like seemed like that was the last era where that happened. You had to make a choice.
Yeah. Band
either you was going to play football. Yeah, you're going to play football, you can play in the band. Like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's like, no, you got to do one or the other.
You got to do one, and you can't do both.
Right.
Right? And you got to, so it might be 3 choices.
Right.
Band, football, or job.
Right.
Because you had a lot of people that, oh man, afternoon I got to go to work.
Work, yeah.
Well, you call in the supervisor at the job and say, hey, can Andrew come march tonight?
Right.
None of that.
Right.
You ain't gonna have none of it. See, band, football, or job.
Yeah, Doc would be like, all right, Mr. Bayham, we have a convention. Can you march? No, I can't march, Doc. Well, why can't you march, man? So yeah, I think that's what kind of catapulted me into gig life.
Right. Yeah.
Because of situations like that where it's just and I think it was the best thing for me and it was the best thing for us, because it made us make a decision and stick to that decision and ride that decision out.
Right.
And I think that might be part of the dilemma that's going on with this generation. They have too many options.
They have too many options, and I would say that when you become an adult, right, and you start to look and reflect on your upbringing, and you realize how fast you came up. You didn't necessarily enjoy just being a child. Right? You got to get a job at 15 because, bills need to be paid.
Right.
Let's just put it out
and
there.
You cost money.
Right? And stuff you want costs money. And then you don't want to go get it on the corner and become a dope boy.
Yeah.
Right? Or you don't want the dope heads or the dealers to necessarily fund you with money because now you got to work, you got to pay that debt back.
Yeah, you
right?
win now.
So you go out there and you get your job, Burger King. When we were coming up, it was $5.15.
Right.
Minimum wage.
Yes, sir. Ooh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? But you just did not get the opportunity to become a child, to just be a child.
Right.
So when you're looking at your teachers and they realize that you're just a kid.
Right.
Right. And you're coming to them like, well, Doc, I came march at convention. I got to work tonight. Work?
Right.
Like, what do you mean work? Why are you working?
Right.
Like, just be a child. Just be a kid. Enjoy because trust me, I'm 39 years old. I'm like, man, if I could have just waited a couple more years, but as a senior in high school, I wanted the Jordans. I wanted to take the ladies out on dates and whatnot. So my mother wasn't going to definitely wasn't buying no Jordans at $150, a pair. I had to go to Burger King and or work at the supermarket to get the money.
Yeah.
So, but there's life like for that. So you when your teachers are necessarily seeing it, especially nowadays when I'm educating the kids that's at Landry Walker, and they have way more options than I had.
Right.
It was, I had Nintendo, and Genesis and TV. That's it.
Right.
Right. They got PlayStation. They got Xbox. They got TV. They got Instagram. They got
Netflix,
Facebook. They got Netflix.
Right.
They just have so much to do,
Right.
or something to entertain themselves that band loses out.
Right.
Because
or any correct extracurricular activity for that matter.
right? Yeah. So, you got, for instance, because band you got to work at.
Right.
Band is not easy.
Right.
A lot of people, people see the final product
Right.
of band. They see the bands marching down the street, and they don't necessarily know that's just the performance.
Right.
What it took to get to this point was grinding.
Right.
Right. You hear they hear the music and they hear how good it sounds, but they don't know.
Like the grind and what happened as a result
the
of
first
that.
day that you passed this piece of music out, you were thinking to yourself, man, we ain't gonna be able to get this done.
Right.
I don't even want to play it anymore. Right.
I don't know if we're gonna get
I
there.
don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
And as an arranger, you spent hours listening to this song,
Right.
before you even put one note on the paper.
Yeah.
You've listened to it about 30
Especially when I was handwriting.
right. Lord,
Especially with handwriting,
man, these people don't know what handwritten music looks like nowadays. Everything comes off the computer, off the Finale right now. And you've listened to a song at least 30 to 50 times before you've put a note on the paper, and then you've put the music together. Then you've gone into the band room, and y'all have forced yourselves to learn this piece of music, formatted it, reformatted it,
Right.
because the other format just didn't work.
Yeah.
Right? And then they see this final product marching down the street and they think it was easy.
It was easy, yeah.
But they don't know that.
They don't know.
They don't know how many kids, like you said, that this is a trumpet.
Right.
That are in your band.
Yeah.
That you've had to grind to get them to play.
Of course.
Right? But, kids, they see that, they know it's hard work, right? Especially when first start. Now, we live in a microwave society.
Of course.
Where these kids think that as soon as they pick something up, they're just going to master it. They don't want to work. They don't want to work at it.
Well, I had this conversation with my best friend, and he was going through it. His one of his sons is at that age, where it's just kind of like, bro, you're being a lazy goat, that type of thing, and and his whole thing was, I shouldn't have spoiled him. He's spoiled. And I'm like, well, I don't think it's necessarily you spoiling him. What I think it is that you believe that there were some things that you didn't get in your life. And so now you're in the position where you're trying to, I'm not gonna say make up, but try to give your kid everything that you didn't have.
That you didn't have, right.
And sometimes,
which is not a bad thing, by the way.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing at all. But I think what happens is, somewhere along the line, these children miss the lesson. They gain everything but the lesson.
But the lesson, right.
But the lesson. And so, and I kind of learned that from Mr. Alonzo Bowens. But at that time, he was at MLK. And, he asked me to just come do some student teaching with him. And so that type of thing. And, his thing has always been, and pretty much always will be, I'm going to teach these kids how to play the instrument. Like, I don't care what else you want me to do. Give me the opportunity to teach these kids how to play the instrument. And that's why he had, killing concert bands, and his marching band sounded better than some high schools.
Some high schools, yeah.
And he had gotten to a point, and I think one of the reasons why he brought me in was because he's like, young man, I'm not geared for this anymore.
He's burnt out.
Yeah, I'm burnt out because this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I've been doing for the last 30 years. And so it made a lot of sense to me, and because, we have this fine line right at this point now with, being rude, so to speak, or just being having exerting some type of disciplinary error as an educator. It's, to me, I think it's just that's one of those things that we as a society need to understand. Like, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. And if if we don't really find a way to change that, there was a time when you had enough parents, in the parent booster club.
Yeah.
That was I remember when I was at Kennedy. They only had five parents in the booster club, but they would sew uniforms. They would go get the drinks. They would go anything that these children needed.
Yeah,
they were there.
We had our parent boosters at Landry Walker that at anytime that we needed Gatorade, because we had this thing at Landry Walker where we had nice things,
right? Yeah,
right. So we didn't give the kids water, right? They got Gatorade,
yeah.
Right. When the Bayou Classic saw fit to start putting parades on Thanksgiving morning, we would perform, but we would have Thanksgiving dinner cooked for the kids to eat before.
Yeah. Oh, that's what's
before
up.
And after, because we would have so much food, for the parades.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah. Anything that we pretty much needed from the boosters, they were able to do, and it makes it easier on the staff. It makes it easier on the administration.
Right.
When you have support from your parents.
Right.
A lot of these schools, like I say, man, you hear the horror stories where they don't have nobody.
Right.
And it's almost as if the band is a liability or something to them. Like why do y'all need to practice? Like, what do you mean?
Like, what do you mean?
Right. Why would you want the school open on a Saturday? Is this going to cost us money?
Right.
Like, that's the type of attitude that they have, But
and I'm looking at them like, y'all are getting more money than a Orleans Parish school would get to do the very same things,
man.
And I'm like, but why? But then I realize, I'm like, well, maybe the band in itself doesn't make as much money as them performing, the school performing, getting that good letter grade, in academics and everything else.
That's the crux of everything. We went through our little thing at Landry Walker, when it comes to school letter grades and extracurricular and whatnot,
like what happened at Kennedy.
It's trending upward, now, but it was some dark times. Now, we had to get out there and say, hey man, what you reading in the paper ain't necessarily true.
Right.
Like, you got to get out there and try to save the reputation of the school and whatnot, because you're there every day. You see it.
Right.
You know that it's not as black and white as what the news and what the papers are putting out there.
Yeah.
And, some people swear by what they read. They don't know context.
Right.
They just see what they just know what they read.
Right.
And if the New Times Picayune says it's an F, then it's an F.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that, okay, there's a lot of students that are on the roll at this particular school that are no longer at the school, but their grades are still counting in the overall performance, right? So if you removed all the fluff and all the pork, as they call it in politics or whatever, from it, then the grade is much better.
Right.
But they don't know. That's not.
We already know that's not going.
Not what.
Well, because you're messing with the church's money.
Oh yeah, you don't mess with the church's money.
Yeah, because the reality is they still get paid.
Right.
For housing and for teaching those children.
Every name that's on the roll.
Right, for every name on the roll.
The government has sent you a check.
Right. I think that's where kind of school pride comes in.
Mm-hmm.
That's where, and I think that's why, like I said, I think just the school pride is far and few between because, we're now in a position where it's like kids just want to go to different schools. They're going in their 9th grade year and going, 10th grade year. The only cat that I knew that actually did that was Fifth Ward Weeby. Was Weeby.
Bless his soul.
Bless his soul. Rest in peace, bro. But like he was at John Mack one year. He was at Kennedy.
He was at Kennedy. Yeah.
He went to Fauché the next year.
He was at Sarah T. Reed.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to Reed and I heard the story just saying Weeby was up there playing T-drum, I think.
Bro,
Yeah.
Well, I tell you this, Weeby to me is going to go down in New Orleans public school history as the coldest tenor drum player ever.
Ever.
Yeah, he's gonna go down. Yeah, he was that. The tenor line is literally the hardest line to make in the band, and he walked up and got on everybody's line. Like he was that cat. He was that cat.
And it was easy.
It was easy. He would go in and during the off seasons, all that stuff, you'll find him on Canal Street challenging everybody.
Oh, damn.
The crazy part about it, we, when Weeby came back with the last song that he was that had the sample. What was the name of it?
Let Me Find Out?
Let Me Find Out,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I don't know how I forget that song. But Let Me Find Out. The same year he performed it with Southern University, he performed it with us at Lander Walker for the car game. And the kids, they're kids. They don't necessarily know.
Right.
They know Weeby from being an artist, from being recording.
Right.
They don't necessarily know his background
Right.
from where he come from. So a lot our drum instructor Clifford Channel would told them that, man, that's this is Fifth Ward Weeby. Fifth Ward Weeby plays tenor drum.
Right.
Man, we don't play no tenor drum. That's how our kids they looking at him like, hey, whatever. Man. And Weeby had to get on the drum and show him that I'm really that dude. And
I still got it.
He still had it.
Yeah.
And they walked away from them like, okay, it was Mr. Weeby after he finished playing. Before it was just Fifth, man, Fifth Ward Weeby. After he finished playing, it was Mr. Weeby.
Right.
Can you show me that?
Yeah, and I think that energy is, I think what made us want to be band heads.
Yeah.
It was that energy alone. It was that, I went to Kennedy, but I went to Noka. So in order for me to go home, I had to pass a Fauché on whatchamacallit. And sometimes they'll be out there still practicing. The band will still be practicing, or somebody on the corner with the instrument in their hand, and it's like, what's happening?
They're competitive.
Let's get it,
right?
And it just was like that, And then we all caught the bus down to Canal Street, and it was just all out. Let's get it,
Right.
Cats blowing at each other from across the street. They would find the drummers would find the
mailboxes,
the
or
mailbox,
poles, or anything,
poles,
right?
Yeah, the mailbox or the pole or the garbage cans when they first had them big round garbage cans.
Yeah.
It made a lot of noise. It's like because it was plastic. So they, like tenor drummers just like in a circle, just getting it. So it was like I think it was just that spirit and that energy that helped put like what made it a culture.
Yeah.
Right. It seemed like Canal Street was like a battleground.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
a battleground, a meeting ground.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's what made it a culture. And so I think, now part of it is Katrina took part of it away. And whatever else was left, it was a shell of itself.
Right.
And I even go so far as like with the college bands. It still feels, what I mean? Like it still feels like it wasn't like, like something's missing. Something's missing out of it. Even though everything is still there, I don't know whether it's just that, we're in an age of, just social media and, so it's like I don't even have to go out on Chop and,
To see it, yeah.
Right, Chop Napoleon and Chop to go and see the battle. And I think I preferred that more. when Joe Blow with his camcorder he just had his camcorder.
Is that we have so much more access to to what bands are doing. Like I can give you my experience. Like I went to Southern alumni, Human Jukebox, right? Before not even I would say, right? Coming before the YouTube age, not even I, being that I marched in the Human Jukebox, I would know their repertoire because I'm out of the band, right? I don't know what they're playing. I just know I have an idea. They may play something in the top 10, coming to the Bayou Classic, right?
Right, yeah.
But now that we have so much access to it, I know exactly what they're going to play, right? Because they've been playing it all year, and I'd give great credit to the new guys that's up there with Kendrick Taylor and Brian Simmons.
Oh yeah,
right? Because they're trying to play new music every fifth quarter. They're trying the fifth quarter after the game. For the people that don't know, when the bands stay after the game, after the football game, they're trying to put more music out there because they know it's because they have their own media team, that you can't play the same songs over and over and over.
And one thing I love, and one thing I do love about, I love it, is that, especially with just the they're taking a different approach to writing the music.
Yeah.
Different than Knighton, and you know what I'm saying? Like and that's the thing I love about it, because I'm hearing more colors. I'm hearing more, in the music.
You definitely hear more colors because they have more woodwinds.
Right.
Especially from when I was there. Right. Man, we had, when I was there, Kiela, from Kennedy, was our only piccolo.
Wow. Yeah, right.
She was the only piccolo.
Right.
Now, 2020, 21, they have a section of piccolos. We had 2 clarinets when I was at Southern. Right. We had 10 saxophones, but that was our woodwind. That was it.
Right.
Everything else was brass.
Right.
So the color, Knighton, in my opinion, he's the greatest arranger. I don't need to hear nobody else.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody else is going to change my opinion.
Well, I think Knighton, in particular, everything he's done is classic.
Right.
And so because they've all become classics, I think that was the standard.
Yeah.
Of how to write an arrangement for this setup, for this band. And that's why I say that's why I love what these new cats are doing, because they're literally writing it for the way the band is now.
For the as opposed to playing, writing it for the way it was,
right? The way it
was, and what
was.
people know Southern for, right? They're steering it in a different direction, and I think that's what keeps us relevant. A lot of people are still trying to catch up to Southern from 2014,
right?
But that's not the Southern University of 2021 anymore,
yeah,
right? So
that's the Hamers, right?
Right. I mean, so they're doing a phenomenal job, in my opinion, but. But yeah, if Doc would have allowed more, woodwinds in the band, I think we could have long been down this road.
Right,
but,
of course. I mean, which I think is a good thing that is changed now. But as the times go, that's the only way we change. And so, I think all the old school, all of the golden era directors, I think they all had the same thing. It was all only men can do this shit. Only men can do this.
Only men, yeah.
And so
it was very, very army-like, military.
Right, yeah.
And
there was no room for any females because we ain't got time for your periods and you're
complaining and whatnot. Everything that they thought women would,
Right, exactly. It's just the old school way. So I was just like, I'm glad that that changed. I mean, it was going to take another generation. It's just kind of like, as black men, we know race relations don't get better until all of the old white folk die.
Until they die outright.
Right, until they die out. So it's just that's the only way it's gonna change.
And it's getting that it's
Right,
getting to that point, but
right.
it's still going to be.
It's
I
still gonna
think
be,
I'll
yeah.
see it later on in my lifetime. Where it'll get progressively better and
Yeah.
better and better and better.
I mean, it's different from when I was 18 and I was on the road. 18, 19, I'm on the road and, we're in Hackensack, Alabama, and it's like, hey, you boys, but he the one with the money.
Right.
So you have a choice to make. You either just sit back and just take the money and keep it moving, or
fumble the bag, as they say
right.
nowadays, right?
Right, and getting in your feelings and letting them trigger you.
Right.
So I think but I realized he's gonna have to die in order to change that. Ain't nobody gonna change that. A blow to the head ain't gonna change his outlook.
No. It just
Yeah, so it's I want to see. There are some good things that I like that I see that are for the better when it comes to that. I think my hope is that it gets back to the culture that we once had, and I think that was something that shouldn't have been taken away.
A lot of it's been, like you say, taken away. It was, Katrina had a hand in it. A lot of implants from other cities that doesn't necessarily understand the culture of New Orleans. They've read about it,
Right?
The birthplace.
That was what
jazz
attracted
and
them to come
whatnot.
to move here.
Right, but when they get here, they don't necessarily like the bands playing on the corners and making noise.
Making noise,
you know what I'm saying? But this is what attracted you to New Orleans.
Right.
It's the Big Easy.
Right.
Right? It's one of the only places you can walk around with an alcoholic beverage in your hand down the street and nobody cops will bother you.
Right.
Right? You try that in Macon, Georgia, where it's a dry county.
Right.
And see how many awkward looks, not only the looks you get, but you might get a citation.
Right.
Right?
You're
So, but they come here and they try to implement stuff that, because we're all raised a certain way.
Right.
You can only, if I go somewhere for a vacation and then I move there and it was fun when I was on vacation because I didn't necessarily have to live under these conditions for the majority of going forward.
Right.
I can live this way, appreciate it for what it is, and then I move back home and be free to live however I live.
All right, yeah.
Well, now they've taken this. Oh, they came as vacation to New Orleans and they tipped the band they were playing, but now they're trying to sleep at night when they're living here, and they're like, "Oh, would you please stop?
Yeah, I paid $1 million for this house. Why did I have to go through this? Hey, you wanted to be close to Bourbon Street.
This is you didn't know this is New Orleans. Don't change it now.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Like I said, we can go about that. I can go about, like I can go for another hour about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. But anyway, I'd like to thank you for coming in and giving your perspective. I've always respected your perspective about, we often go back and forth about sports. And, I like to engage with people, who have an objective outlook, and not necessarily subjective, where it's just that, they're using their emotions, to do that. Now it's like, no, this is an objective thing. What is the outcome? What is that, and why do you see it that way? And I like I said, I thank you for coming and do that, because, and I hopefully get to have you, another time when I can get a whole Saints panel. Yeah, man, because I have, I'm in like 3 different text groups, and all we talk is Saints. Like, so during the game, that's all I'm doing.
Right.
I'm texting back and forth with all the cats, and that type of thing. And so I eventually want to get a couple of cats in to do a powwow, a Saints powwow, maybe sometime around the draft or something like that, and so we can powwow.
Definitely do that.
Yeah. So, and ladies and gentlemen, the sports guru, Akbar Honeycutt, a.k.a. Lewis Goon Coolie. As far as me, I'm Drew Bayham, Irv Darby.
Him in the podcast. Quote me on that, you hear me?
There you go, baby. There you go. And until next time, peace.
Peace.